Hi everyone, welcome to our fifth episode of the Empowered Living channel, the A&E, the Ayşe and Erkan show. We're so excited today because we've got Joel Van Der Molen on the show of Vandercom films and What the Facts series. He's done 1 and 2. He's working on number 3. He's a very good friend of mine. He's based in the UK, and we'd just like to welcome you to the show, Joel. Hi, how you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me on. Pleasure to be speaking with you this morning, as it is in London, as it's morning where we are.
Yeah, just so one of the things, guys, I just want to acknowledge I'm late for the call. So to everyone. So Joel, I mean, you did What the Fact 1. I mean, I was reviewing it all over the last couple of days, so I knew I'd be on the call with you. And I just think you captured a time in history in a satirical, authentic, and very accurate way. I mean, it's just incredible what you've done. I mean, I think the value of what you've done is going to become more and more apparent as we look back at what was going on at that time. So, what inspired you to kind of start the What the Fact series? And do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I live in the UK, and I have done most of my life, even though my name is Joel Van Der Molen. So everybody who sees my name, especially Dutch people, they start speaking to me in Dutch. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is not going to go very far. So, but yeah, I grew up here, and I had a middle class kind of upbringing, but a very, very good and secure upbringing within the designer world that we live in. And I would go on holiday every year, and I would live the life. But I always knew from a very young age that something was not right. But I couldn't communicate it or articulate it when you're young. You don't. And I remember just going to school and feeling that this is not right. There's something not right about all of this. But I did find a love in acting and drama. I found that you could express how you felt and how you wanted to do in a quite repressive country. They're very good at that. The British, keeping people down. That's as far as you can go, and you can't go any further. So to break that is quite challenging for a lot of people, because we're programmed and indoctrinated for this fear-based life and living in survival mode and under the system, which is it's a prison where you can't see the bars, as we know. The monetary system is that. I was living in this world, but it took me a while to get to the point where I think it was 2013. I remember, and just looking through things, and you get information come to you. So I think when you're ready, and that really just changed my whole outlook. So, I mean, and I was working in telecoms, and I realized that I'm just contributing more to the machine. And the more I went through, and then I changed all the products in the house, because my mum in the 90s, she knew this and about medicines and things like that. And you just cleaned the whole house out of all chocolate, all nonsense. Everything had to be pure, changing all the hair products and everything like that. And when you do things like that, because it is challenging the status quo, people point and say, well, you're crazy. And I guess a lot of people that I do hear that do awaken to what's really happening, they are constantly finding within their family and close friends that they are branded as a conspiracy theorist, or whatever the term may be, so everybody kind of goes through this thing, and we're only just reaching those people are reaching another level, and they're moving away from those type of people. I had to stop, because you don't really have much communication with those type of people anymore, because two things can happen. You can go down to their level and be a normie. Must be fun. You haven't been a normie for a while, Erkan, no? And or you move away. And so you have to do different things. So this is where I got the idea from What the Fact from, because I really wanted these people. It's like you want to shake them, but you can't. Even if you shake them, it's not going to happen, because it's so strongly ingrained that you're asking someone to dismantle an entire belief system. That's not an easy thing to do. So all I could do is, okay, I thought I can tell it through comedy. So I was out running during that lockdown period in 2020, and that's when I got struck with the idea. It's like huge, really strong, you know. And I was just like, oh my God. So I ran faster all the way home so I could start getting this idea down.
I just want to just make a point to our audience as well. I mean, we have called this channel Empowered Living. And one in our vision and mission statement, we've also talked about creating content and being creative and doing the things and being truly human. And part of that is our creativity, is our self-expression, whether that's drawing, writing, poetry, you know, mud sculptures, whatever it is that you do. And I think we think, I guess, on a level that how can little old me make a difference? Because we've been led to believe you can't. We've been conditioned to think that, you know, leave it to the experts, leave it to the, you know, there's other people in charge, know your place, like you said, especially in the UK, and I think probably a lot of other countries as well. And what we're encouraging on the show is that if you're watching this and you think, I'd like to do, you know, there's something in me I want to, don't limit yourself in. Ira Glass said something. Ira Glass is a writer, and he said, you know, when you first start writing, you look at what you write, it's not very good because your taste is better than your talent. He said, so you just keep doing it and keep doing it, and you lower your standards. Yeah, you lower your standards so you can get in the game and do something. And I think we're so used to high, especially when you look at video, we're bombarded with millions of that, you know, gigabytes of data of high quality, professional videography, sound. I'm not saying that what you did is not beautifully done. What I mean is, if you're thinking of just starting, you're going to see all the limitations and all the gaps, and that's the place to be because you're not very good. You haven't done a lot, but as you do more and more, you can improve. And I think it's getting people over that, helping and supporting people to get over that little inertia barrier. And I think what you've done, a normal bloke. I mean, that's what I said to Ayşe. You know what I love about Joel, and I really mean this with the utmost respect and love for you, Joel, is you're a normal bloke. You're just a bloke that's got something to say that maybe the message is extraordinary and maybe the message is very nuanced, but you're just a guy, you know. And I think Mark Devlin says something like this. He says, you know, I'm just a guy with a microphone and a brain, and I've done some research and I'm sharing what I've learned, you know. And a lot of us have this. We acquiesce our innate wisdom and knowledge to those people that have, I don't know, mandate or positions. I mean, if you listen to Chris Whitty talking, or Matt Hancock, or Boris Johnson, all these people that are supposed to be leaders, they are the most inept, most dysfunctional, incompetent, yet the majority of our population just hang on every word and go with it. They don't trust themselves to work out what's going on and have a say in it. They're, well, yeah, but you know, and I think there's that bit where you're talking with them. I forgot the guy's name in the car park, and he's just, and I think the party in number 2, where the guy's just literally parroting what he's heard on the news, literally écoute et répéter.
Yeah.
I want to bring Ayşe into this, otherwise I will just dominate the whole show.
Ayşe,
I love it. I'm listening to you guys. It's amazing. I think, Joel, you've really just like nailed it, because adding that comedy element is just like, it's genius, absolute genius, because people can sit and watch and really relate to either side, you know. Anti-vaxxers, vaxxers. You just, you know, I think everyone can take something from what you're portraying. It's absolutely genius.
I mean, after number 1, you learn from the mistakes and the criticisms that you get. So I put that learning into number 2, and the production value was better. I scripted it a lot more because I was trying to keep a balance, but it's difficult for me to keep a balance because the message is too powerful. I have to say something, but this is why I'm not going to, it's not going to sell to ITV. It's not going to go on, Hollywood will not like it. And that's why you can't break into these things. So you end up, creating great things which may not be seen by so many people unless it's shared. I mean, we're getting hundreds of thousands of views on our channel, but the idea of what the fact was for people to just share it among. So someone like me and you could say to that person, here, go and watch this. You'll enjoy this. And it is real conversations. I know people who actually tell me these things. They actually tell me these things. I thought in one episode we can have Erkan playing a normie. Do you remember we had that idea?
I know, you tried to talk me into that, and I don't know if I...
No, it's like he would be somebody arguing with me.
I don't know if I could.
Like arguing with me and saying like, yeah, but it has to be real. It's on the news.
It was on, but if what you're saying is right, Joel, then it would have been on the news. I'm looking for a post. I shared a post by Dr. Majid. Do you know Dr. Majid? The American. She's a blonde doctor. And she talks about the vaccines, and she was saying that she's basically given up her house, her job, her status, and is building inner networks for health and connection with people.
Wow.
Because actually, when you've got nothing to lose, they can't really touch you. When you don't need their money and you don't need their systems and their processes, it frees you up. And what I noticed I can't find it, guys, but anyway, I'll come back to it. But what I noticed rewatching What the Fact 1 and 2 is I've done the Edward bit for so long, well before COVID. From my point of view, I feel I was telling people this stuff 2.5 decades ago. Like in the level of my consciousness at that time. Obviously 9/11 just heightened everything because I knew it was I looked at it and I just trusted my eyes. I just looked at it and I thought those buildings are just falling into their own footprint. 2 buildings on one day, and then the third when World Trade Center, was it World?
Number 3?
Yeah, number 7. When 7 fell into its own footprint with no fire, I was just like, that, it's like, am I the only one? Am I the only one paying attention? And I know a lot of people woke up around that time, but, it's not even, I don't even if it's a wake up. I mean, I've been saying for quite a while, and we used, I've got a channel called Beyond Mainstream, and it's the red pill zone. It's not one red pill. You got to keep, it's a series. It's a, keep, you just find, and the medical industry, and music industry, and the legal system, the money system, the way property works. Oh my God, education. Oh my God, the way the road tax works, the way your legal status, your common law, blah blah. It's just it's like popcorn, and you just realise it's everything everywhere.
Mm. It's absolutely everything, and this is just, it's so beguiling. Sometimes I have to actually just chill out and like, oh God, but yeah, I mean, it is everywhere. What do? You escape, you meditate, you can, focus on doing what you do. I like to focus my creativity because I work with video all the time. I know a lot about editing. And what they can show you is subliminal messages. Even going back to the 50s would surprise you. What they're doing now, I mean, and they're 40 years ahead of us in technology. So what's going on through that television screen? I mean, it's hypnotism. Mm-hmm. When they're watching the news, it's funny, and then they're embedding all of these kind of subtitles on the screen. You can't see them. And they're things like that I'm writing in What the Fact 3, obey, disobedience will not be tolerated, love, your government is God. And these are things coming up on the screen over Strictly Come Dancing. And it's just, whoa, it's mind-blowing what they can do. And I can see how editing something, you can make somebody look good or bad. And the news probably do that a lot, with the they've got they've got some sort of guy who's the acting president. That is, that they argue, he's clearly not the president. But I mean, people fall for it. But however, I do believe we are at a certain point, and maybe it's been happening since the 60s. But John Lennon didn't last long talking about it. It's a crazy world when John Lennon dies, but Barry Manilow is still churning out hits, and so. But
yeah.
I actually like
Elton John, Rolling Stones. They've all been knighted, and I don't know,
yeah.
So, Joel, how do we stay empowered? People like you and me, and the people that are more awake to the realities of what's going on. How do we stay empowered in this insanity? Like,
very good question.
What do you think?
Because seriously, when I had a telecoms company, I felt I was just contributing to, building the AI. And I still am now by doing what I do, which is, I do a lot of corporate videos and make documentaries. But what I do is I also turn that creativity into delivering a message that, when I get asked a question by my daughter in 10 years' time, what did you do to stop the tyrannical world that we're now living in? And I say, well, I've done what the fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because I love expressing creativity. That I have found what I love. And most people, if they haven't found what they love, they probably have. They just don't realize that they can do it. So I just channel that creativity into the work so I work the system to pay bills, and live a lifestyle. But instead of paying tax, I use that money and I fund what the fact, which has got a powerful message. And I just keep going and going and going. Because as Erkan said, maybe I made episode 1 in 2020, episode 2 in 2021. But people will be, and they will look back and they'll go, oh my God. And they'll say, how did he know all that stuff? Yeah. And it's not that I'm clever or I've got a crystal ball, and I hope that I'm wrong. But when you understand the ultimate outcome that they are going for, then everything else you see is not coincidence. But trying to get people to understand that, who do think these events are random, is... it's
yeah.
But what the fact was a great way of being able to communicate that for me, and and I believe if we can all find that we do what we love, and then we know what it is, because the universe will always push us in a certain direction of who we are here to become, and we can feel it inside of us. We know when people are in a dead end job, they know it. But the fear stops them from changing. But when you trust, because trust is the opposite side of fear. So when you trust your journey, then everything can open up. If you want something, I said to someone yesterday, I said, if you want something badly enough, you're not ready for it. But when you let something go, you allow a space to receive. So, meditation does help, but I've been through a very hard time in my life, and I kept trusting that it would work out. And it is. It is working out. So, it is being able to trust that process. So anybody who believes like, oh, but I've got to pay the bills, that's the great excuse for not trusting, not listening to your inner knowing. And it's like what you said, the example, Erkan, with the lady you mentioned. She had to just let it all go, and embrace, that you may have nothing, but when that happens, whenever you get those thoughts, because they are just thoughts, you just go, and I love that. Oh, I might go broke. Yeah, I love that. Sometimes you need to go down, and I've done that, in order to awaken and start listening to that voice, because otherwise people will try to drown it with alcohol, choke it with cigarettes, or exhaust it with exercise. But, it will and that's the voice inside that will manifest it in the form of an illness, I believe. So yeah, it's really about finding what you love and living in that creative energy from in to out, like we do when we're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, when we don't care about what parties we haven't been invited to or what our ex-girlfriends or boyfriends are doing on Facebook. If you're still on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my ex-boyfriends. It's depression.
It is funny when I keep seeing Erkan banned on Facebook.
Oh yeah. Listen, I think. Tell us a bit about what the Fact 3. So where's Edward's journey going? Because do you want to actually, for the audience that probably haven't seen this, we'll put all the links for What the Fact 1 and 2 below. So What the Fact 1, just give us like a little 30-second synopsis, and then number 2.
Yeah, well, where it's got to so far with 1 and 2, it's about this guy who is sharing all of his ideas about a global conspiracy to enslave humanity and reduce the population. And he's getting millions of views. The other side of that, he's got this wife who thinks he's lost the plot. She's believing all the mainstream messaging, cleaning the house in a spacesuit, and thinks the cat's got coronavirus. So you're playing with two extremes. And it's really how they're living through their life, where this guy is her husband and he is trying to communicate through to her, and she's living with it every day and listening to all of his stuff, everything that he's finding out. But she can't see it. She just can't see it. You know, when you've got someone like that in your house saying, this is all a joke, this is all a joke, you know, and then she's going and cleaning the house in a spacesuit and going shopping in a spacesuit. And when he comes home, like, I think you mentioned an idea. Remember I say when he comes home and he opens the door and she stops him and says, no, take all your clothes off, put them in this basket, run upstairs, have a shower.
Which has happened to me.
It happened to you?
I told you, he based it on you.
No, this is the thing, Ayse, right? When I saw that first one, I'm like, oh my God, I've lived these conversations. I've had these conversations. And is that how crazy I must sound to people? You know, that's the thing I got about listening to Edward, is how insane he sounds to the people who are watching the news and Panorama and news at the Newsnight and BBC TV. It does sound incredibly insane. In fact, it sounds stupid.
And that's why I wanted it so he lost his job, because what we were just speaking about trusting your inner knowing, I put into Edward that because he lost his job because the corporations wanted to him to remove his videos. And he's trying to explain to his wife, no, don't worry, it'll be okay, you know, just trust. And she's like, really?
Who's going to pay school fees?
Yeah, how are we going to pay this? How are we going to? Right, that's it, get out. And the normies were cheering when she kicked him out.
Yeah. So where does he go in episode 3?
Well, what I'm doing in 3 is I really have raised the game a lot, and I don't know if you got a chance to read any of it, but
no, my apologies, I haven't. Not yet.
I want you to read it because I know that you'll love it. I'm going to send it to Ayse. I'm not going to send it to you.
I need to read it to me. Bit of bedtime.
Yeah.
Story reading. But you wrote a song as well, didn't you? Do you want to give us a couple of?
I did. But that's really letting people into what's going on. But I mean,
or is it?
Because Anon, the character of Anon, is explored a lot more. Anon from an anonymous. So you know, we really get to know more about him and his disguises, because he was first of all disguised as like a shady character on a bench, and then he was dressed as a tramp, you know, and in episode 2, and he's like, you know, Ed, and I'm like, Anna, what are you doing dressed like this? And he goes, the drones are watching. So we take it to a new level in episode 3, and he's dressed in. He invites Edward to meet him at this cabaret club. Where he says, "Look, just come and meet me here." So he's looking around, and where is he? Where is he? He's not coming, and Edward's feeling quite uncomfortable because he's getting served by a gay waiter who's flirting with him, and he's feeling really uncomfortable. And then it says, "Welcome to the stage, Melody Sandrine," and Edward just is gobsmacked when he sees Anon dressed as in drag and singing a song because he's had to go deep undercover, and it's because he's from a big family and he's calling them out, and then it moves onto his castle. So there's a dinner done at his castle.
Oh yes, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
And so. And then the song is taken from a popular song by Gloria Gaynor, and I'll give you a little bit. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could catch a cold and then my nan would die. But then I spent so many nights thinking how it's all a lie, and I grew strong, and I learned how to get along, and now I'm back without a mask. I just walk in that supermarket without that nappy on my face. I should have seen it from the start. I should have turned off my TV. If I had known for just 1 second, all the media lied to me. So
brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it's fantastic. Really.
There is some great lines in that. It's like, but at the same time, what I'm doing is pushing forward a message, is telling people to awaken. And the song comes in the second verse. It goes, I used to think that governments had our best interests at heart, but then I saw they have a script with actors playing parts, and I spent so many nights researching Agenda 21, and I used to cry, drink and smoke till I got high, and you see me, I'm just like you. I will not live under the mind control they want us to, and so they want us to conform and surrender on our knees, but the awakening that's happening means the people will be free. So I got very creative this time.
I think that's fantastic, mate. I really do. And I think I can imagine people singing that at like what they call the karaoke parties, And I think it's quite powerful. I mean, like when what was her name? Dolly Parton did "Vaccine, Vaccine, Vaccine, Vaccine." Honestly, they call it like a music worm, song worm. It's just like it just went round and round in your head. It does. It's amazing. And I think, that could be it's a genius move to be able to do. I don't know what the copyright issues are with it, but
you can. Because I worked with Singing Dentist in episode 2.
Yeah, you worked with Dr. Millard.
Yes, and a great, credible guy, very professional, and I love his work but he was doing stuff which sounded like, because he would remix kind of songs. But he said to me, if you change a few notes here and there, it's a new song, but it sounds like that. And I was like, there we go. Sure. So I can focus on this song, or someone else could redo the music, to that song. But yeah, and then there's all types of great things that go on, and it just gets wild. And then episode 3, my plan is to set it in 2035. Now, the idea here is that, yes, we age up all the characters, or I have to age up 10 years. And Edward's daughter, who is 7 or 8, is now 21, 22, and she is she's leading the resistance, or taking over Edward's channel. Edward's made it quite big in crypto, and what else was it? Oh yeah, medical equipment, because he saw what was coming, so he invested in medical equipment. And so it's about what I'm really doing. What the message of episode 4 is that this is what's going to happen in 2035 if people don't wake up. And so you will have driverless cars. I've got to find driverless cars for this. So the budget gets bigger and bigger all the time, but there's ways around it. There's ways around it. Have you seen the TV show? The film They Live?
Yeah, but you know what? I've got to watch it again. It's the one where he wears the glasses and he takes them off and he starts to see what's really being. It's like obey and buy.
What's really been?
Yeah, so I'm playing with a similar theme in number 3. And have you seen Dinner with Andre?
Yes, one of my favourite films. I love that.
So I'm playing with that in at the end of episode 3. So he goes to the castle where Anon, or it's going to be a palace. So Anon invites him to dinner, and he gets into a Rolls Royce and then a helicopter to be flown to this place.
So the budget is getting stretched here a bit, I'd say. You just want to drive around a roller and get into helicopters, don't you, Joel? That's what
Well, it's just like it's saying, you know, okay, who is this guy Anon? So everybody's going, what the hell? You know, who is he? Well, what the fact? And then it's there's a big twist at the end. You've got to. Oh, I want to make it now. You know, it's like it's so great that I've got so many ideas all the time, and it is great fun for me to do. And at the same time, I feel like, you know, I'm doing something important.
So would you say where I guess a lot of us are having that kind of, you know, that kind of pull, you know, there's what you really want to do, what's really important, and you feel is going to make a difference. There's a reality of a lot of that stuff doesn't pay. You know, it just doesn't pay. You know, like there's very few, I suppose, truthers and researchers, you know, that actually make a living or barely make a living. There's no getting rich on it, you know. And yet you do, you know, you want to keep the lights on and food in the fridge. You know, it's like balancing that challenge. It's a paradox almost, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to keep the lights on. You know, so yeah, I do have to do that at the moment. But I mean, my stuff is getting bigger and bigger. At the moment, I'm doing a film. I mean, a documentary, making a documentary. And it's very interesting that I'm doing this. I probably couldn't do it if you had to be ready for it. And because I've done Living My Illusion, The Magnificence of You, and they're pointing the camera back at myself, I've always been wanting to share what I'm learning with others. And this, you know, and I did it through Living My Illusion and The Magnificence of You, which is about how nearly every decision that people make is based on what other people will think of them, and how we are programmed and conditioned to live our life in a certain way. We're told what to do, and we end up becoming people pleasers, living the life that we're told to live, living the expectations of parents, friends, society, culture, religion, and we disconnect from our inner knowing, the voice inside that knows who we're here to become. And I pointed the camera back at me in Living My Illusion, you know, looking at the, you know, how ultimately we are looking outwardly for love and seeking validation, but inside we can be lonely because we're confused. We're not like we are when we were younger. And now what's come across is I'm doing a documentary film called Gypsy Billionaire. And this is very, very interesting because he's a very unique, inspirational guy. And the guy's called Alfie Best. And he was born in a caravan on the side of the road to a poor gypsy family, and he becomes a billionaire. And that is stigma beyond belief. When you're a gypsy and you have nothing, and it's not that, it's the stigma that is attached to it. But what's more interesting is that he left school at 13. And his schooling was up and down. His parents didn't learn to read and write. But his mum insisted that he learned. So he did go to school, you know, when they would travel around and, you know, and then in the winter he would have more of a proper time at school, picked on and got into a lot of fights because he was a gypsy. And other kids wouldn't speak to him because he was a gypsy. But where he comes from, when the school, what actually being a gypsy taught him was how to make it, and he broke away from the schooling system. So he didn't have those massive years of indoctrination like everybody has. And he said something like, he said, everybody can see the opportunities, everybody can find the opportunities, it's just beaten out of them. Mm-hmm. So, you know, because he's described the school system as like learning to drive a car, but only doing the theory and being handed the keys and saying, there you go. So he learnt working with his dad, tarmacking driveways from the age of 6 or 7. And it's a very unique and inspirational story because he's saying that anybody can do it and I'll prove it. Again, I'm doing that because it's got an important message behind it. And he has someone who has broken through that stigma, broken through the repressive establishment system that is in place in this country to succeed. And you've got to get over yourself to do that.
That's a great. I really look forward. I think you've got some stuff on it's Alfie Best, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. On Vandercom films. I just want to take a little stop here, and we'll come back in a second. Hi. So we've been talking to Joel Van Der Molen from Vandercom Films, and he's the director. Oh yeah, this is the other thing I wanted to say to you, Joel. It's like to be the director, writer, actor, producer. I mean, you're some kind of narcissist, kind of ego trip here. I mean, give other people something to do as well. No, but I mean, that just shows what how much of yourself you're putting into this, because either you find people that are right for the project and they're going to give they're going to contribute that investment of time and effort, or you just get on with it. And I think what you're showing is just get on with it.
Well, correct. You want to do something. I mean, people wait around for years trying to get a project off the ground. Just do it. I mean, and it's that thing of trust. Do it and trust that the funding will come. That's really the way I saw it. And yeah, you do. You have to. I am the writer, the director, the producer, the lead role, the editor. The only thing I couldn't really do was color grading. But certainly on number two.
You must, as I always said in my school report, you must try harder. But Ayse, I mean, before Joel came back on. You were just expressing something about what Joel has done. Do you want to just share that on?
I just think it's so clever what Joel has done it's genius, because when we talk about any of the topics, people look at us like we're lunatics. But the way Joel has done it, it's like, okay, you can see like it's a bit, he's a bit of a lunatic. But really, he's not, because what he's underlying, what the real message that is coming through, it's actually really hardcore, and it's a way to try and ease the normies into starting to think this side. I think it's genius, absolute genius, and it's done in such a way that people like us can laugh at it, because we've been there, done that, seen it, experienced it, and it's just, honestly, I think I was going to say, Joe, I mean, how do you get your inspiration? Because like, I think you must be a really, really spiritual person to be so open to listening to your inner voice, to be able to be so creative and portray it in such an amazing way.
I pick up the phone to Erkan and say, really? What are you up to? What are you up to? Oh, okay, I'll put it in a film. But also, yeah, look, you get those inspirations, and it is about, connecting with who you are and what you want to do, because I'm excited about doing that. Ricky Gervais said, I used to like him, but he did say, write about what you know. So, and I, for 10 years, have been looking at all this stuff. So I'm writing about what I know. And I know because, I probably drive my wife mad with this stuff. I know I do. So I wasn't playing a character it wasn't that so much of a stretch. And the actress Layla, I would speak to her on the phone, and she actually lived in that world. She's woken up now because of What the Fact. but she did buy a spacesuit and go shopping in it. And she really was on the phone to me thinking that the cat had coronavirus.
Wow.
And so I would just talk about her life. And, you know, the incident with the car in episode 2, that actually happened to her. So, you know, but also I listen to people's conversations and the way people talk to me and, you know, what they say. And in episode 3, I was really writing down word for word what I heard a friend of mine, an old friend of mine, say, that I believe the vaccines are a good thing. And maybe trying to provoke an argument of it. I say, well, it totally depends on your perception. Because you can't, you know, you can't say anything because people do look for an argument with you. You know, I remember somebody saying, I was saying, well, you know, the school's indoctrination. And he said, prove it. Give me one good reason why, how it's indoctrination. I said, well, the school bell.
No, it's ironic, isn't it? It's true.
But yeah, no, thank you for your comments and thank you for, you know, watching it. And, you know, the more, you know, it is designed to help that person question, because it was my thing to try to get over, right? You know, because you constantly, you can't tell people anything. People don't want to be told something.
Yeah.
So if you go up to them and you say, "Look, it's all a hoax. Have you seen? How is it? It's impossible to even if it was a plane that hit the building, it's not going to take the whole thing down. Never before and never again in human history has a building collapsed because of obvious fires." And they say, "No," and you end up exhausting yourself. So I thought. And you know, that's the way we do naturally work. We find an easier way of communicating it to people. You know, and I had a similar thing with the whole living my illusion, because, you know, I was thinking there's another world out here of, you know, it's spirituality. There's certain things that are kept from us. And as soon as you mention the word spirituality, you know, you get people thinking there's a reason that they have made you think. They make people think that meditation is not a good thing.
It's a program, isn't it?
Yeah, because all the good things that they're keeping suppressed. So all of these spiritual enlightenment, the last thing they want is individual free thought, believing that they could do anything that they want and manifesting anything that they want, and understanding those laws. You know, so that's kept from you. But if we could, the more we can tap into that. And when you get to a certain age, it's difficult to do because those programmings are so strong, you know, inside of us that, you know, to actually break through it is not an easy thing to do. But when you do, it's like, oh God. And that's why I say to you, you know, imagine having a day as a normie and posting on Facebook, these are things that I include in What the Fact, is because I saw someone write on Facebook, you know, they put a picture of their card and say, got my booster vaccine. And I thought, okay, I'll look at the comments. And then the comments is, oh, that's so good to know. I'm so glad that you're safe. And it's like, oh God.
I bet about 6 months ago, maybe a bit more, 7-8 months ago, I spoke to a friend of mine in England who I hadn't spoken to for a long time, and he hadn't injected yet, and I was like, look, don't do it, man, you know. And he's like, oh no, I'm just waiting to see. We might go with the Pfizer, maybe the AstraZeneca, but we're hearing good things about you know. It was like you know, like it's like you're gonna the BMW. 330i is really good, you know, it has good mileage, but you know, it's like a real consumer. I said, but you do understand these are experimental, don't you? You know, these are not. And you don't have a 99% chance of survival in the PCR. You know, it's like
it's really. I mean, look, but the conversation me and you that we're having right now, you know, for people who have gone along with it, they'll think we're crazy. They'll think there's something wrong with us.
But I think the nightmares for those people who have complied and who have obeyed are only just starting, and for some it already has happened. I mean, you're seeing sports people. I mean, we didn't want to make the show too much about this stuff, to be honest with you. We want to make it about, like, for example, the creativity aspect and the positive aspects, and the, you know, how when we do something we feel fulfilled by it, you know.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you know, you can watch the figure of people who have died, or, you know, sports professionals who die of heart issues are like 0 or 1 a year to 200, 250 and going up. You know, and yet you'll mention something. Yeah, but that happens all the time. No, it doesn't. These things are, you know, people are conditioned into thinking these things are normalized, but they're normalized. Myocarditis, or young children having blood clots and all these things, you know. And I
heart
think
attacks at 10 years old. Yeah, I actually put that in episode 3. And again, it was one of the characters is called Crazy Ali in episode 2. He awakens in episode 3.
Wow.
But only after he's double jabbed and having heart trouble and going to the doctors, and the doctors aren't saying anything. And then a more senior doctor comes in and tells him that he's over exercising.
But
and
what do you know? Like, you're not a doctor. You don't know.
And it's all happening, and this actually happened to him. Yes.
But it's so great that you're using real experiences in it, because people can relate more to it. I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with all these scenarios.
Sure, absolutely. They know it's going on, and this is why I want to set something in the future, because, you know, it's showing what's going to happen because of the vaccines that they did, and what they're continuing to do. And, you know, people get to see the news headlines in 2035. It's a long way to go, perhaps, or maybe it's not. But it's going to be interesting, because how much will I get right? And it's not that I, you know,
right, Joel. Because a lot of the unawakened are slowly awakening, like you've shown over the series. Do you feel that you, as well as a person, have also, in your journey of, I mean, you're obviously awoke, but your personal journey, spiritual journey, I should say, do you feel that you've resonated that in the series?
That's a very interesting.
Have you done it justice?
That's a very interesting direction to take it. Is to start putting that in. In episode, because in episode 3, I mean, we again, this, I've had Anon, this character, as a tramp in episode 2. He's a drag queen in 3, and he's in a monastery in episode 4 in the future, and he starts meditating, and then he levitates.
Wow!
In a monastery. But I would like to open up, because certainly for myself, and this is again very far from what people, you know, kind of conversation you have with people, is I've had visions before, and they have been warning signs, but it's literally like, I describe it as, you know, your eyes are closed, but it's like you're watching television and you're seeing something play out, and that could happen in half an hour, or it could happen, you know, later that day, or it could happen in a week's time. But they're warning signs, and this has happened to me a number of occasions. But it comes down, you know, I think Clive de Carle, who you did that interview with, Erkan, which was taken down within 20 minutes, because it's all about, you know, treating the body healthy. I know on your last podcast when you were talking about the foods that you're eating now. So if we all did that, if we cleansed our bodies in that way, then and meditated, like for 4 hours or something, you know, people, they do long stretches of meditations. You start to enter a whole new world, and that's certainly the sort of journey that I have been on. it's all in balance. Everything has to be in balance.
Because I think everybody's been trying to focus on awakening as many people as we can. I think it's also important to share your experience so that people like you have got something to relate to, you know? Because there are, I know we kind of we think, oh, we're the minority, but I think eventually there is going to be a tipping point, and your journey, I think, will help that.
I think there will be a tipping point because it's unbalanced at the moment. You can't have the 0.0001% owning everything, which is the plan by, is it 2030 or 2050?
Yeah, 20.
Yeah. This company called Vandercom. Oh no, Vanguard.
Oh, you're the yeah, Vanguard, BlackRock. You know, there are entities that that own vast amounts of the resources, own, control, dominate, and also what they do is they hive. There's these notions of parallel communities where they're just you've got the mainstream world, and you've got all sorts of things going on outside of that. Whether you call it deep state or off planet or whatever wherever.
Yeah,
look
it's
at it.
Disney. It's Disneyland.
Yeah. Are you planning any alien encounters?
Oh my God! Yeah, that's in episode 3. Because literally, I'm telling people the truth of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, in episode 3, not to give too much away, but we're giving it away. But then it's okay because with the community, we can create it. Any ideas, please share.
You'll get a credit.
But yeah, look, what I do is Anon. He says to Edward that they're planning an alien attack from outer space to bring about the one world police, one world government, one world digital currency. And they're going to do it by having an alien attack and say, oh, look, we're under attack by aliens. And that's what's going to bring it around. Now, if you say that to a normie, I would get so laughed at. But I can say it on screen and it'd be okay.
Yeah.
And then in 5 years' time or 3 years' time, because you can see in the news right now, they're programming people for the whole alien thing. They're slowly programming. It's like what they've been doing in Hollywood for the past 20, 50 years, whatever it is. Why is the baddie always Russian?
Always. Well, yeah. And the other thing is, look at how many like Contagion and Virus and Legend, or Human Species gets wiped out.
Pure pre-programming.
I was talking to, I'm not going to mention who at the moment because it's we're going to do this in one of the episodes coming up. But they're talking about a zombie apocalypse as well. Like these injections are going to create a zombified zombified humanoids, and also hybrid soldiers are in the pipeline. It's if you look at the films that are being made, if you've done any looking into predictive programming and getting people to think about things in a certain way, there's some very interesting ideas ahead. But there's so much disinformation. There's so much, you really are. I can't remember who else it was, but it's like you get a child and you just spin them round and round and round and then let them go. They're just, we are being spun all the time, and I don't care how researched you are, including me. It's like you think you really got somewhere where you got a real good handle on it. It could all just flop again. So I guess what we need to be is constantly being liquid and constantly reviewing what we think. I try and stay away from beliefs in these conversations because we're so far removed from having the personal experience that we can only look at something and think about it. But when we get into beliefs and this scientism, I've had people say, well, I believe in the science. I'm like, wow, well, fool you, because you're not actually believing in science. You've been indoctrinated into a cult, a scientism cult. a death cult. You know, there's this, in my view, and I think we've got to keep ourselves fluid enough to say, well, at the moment, this is how I see it, or this is how it looks to me. As soon as if we start going, this is how it is, and we're saying this is it, it is this way, we're nailing our foot to the floor, because it's all an illusion. It's all being manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the power of the internet. I mean, now there's a direct channel into everybody, straight into the core of them. You might not watch telly, but people are spending millions of hours online, whether it's Netflix or...
Yeah. But I wanted to go back to your question, Ayse, regarding the, what we can do. Because the thing is you see people who, where we're going to feel better among ourselves is when we awaken to this and we're trying to tell people outwardly what is going on. And we're pointing outwardly. But I believe that if we point the finger back inside and we channel that internally to express what we are doing, because it all starts with us. Mm-hmm. It's all perception. Everything is perception. We're the greatest creation. The rest is just the story we're telling ourselves. But you can't, push people into anything. But to internalize things, that is the work we do on ourselves, because we can cry about what they're planning, and other people will get really upset about what they're seeing on the news and point outwardly at Donald Trump or whatever it is on the TV. You said to me the other day, Erkan, if it's on TV, it's not true. So,
say that.
But it's something like that. You said, yeah, I think we were talking about Russell Brand, and I said, why is his YouTube channel still up? And you go, he's on TV, right? Yeah, there you go.
All right, well, listen, I think we could go on. Is there any last messages or anything you want to, Ayse or Joel, you want to kind of, the audience? Ayse, is there anything for you?
Joel, where can everybody find you?
You search me on Instagram or Facebook, and then there's a lot of sort of like links to all the work, so they can just find me. It took 18 hours for YouTube to take down What the Fact 2, but it is on my personal one. They didn't like it on the business one because it's got like hundreds of thousands of views and over 500 subscribers. So What the Fact 2 was taken down. It is on my personal YouTube channel. And it's on also on Amazon Prime UK and US.
We'll put the links. If you send me a whole load of links, we'll put them under this video so people can.
Yeah, cool. I'll just send one link to everything to do with What the Fact, and look out for episode 3. My last thought is, it's when we focus, you can live. We're all going to make decisions and choices every day, and we can make them out of fear of what may be, of what people may think of us. Or we can choose out of love for what we do. Always choose that one, because it's and trust in your journey.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks very much. Ayse, any last thoughts?
I think exactly what Joel has said. Basically, just follow the path of love, self-love.
Yeah.
And you'll always win.
Love is
always win.
So, guys, want to thank you for watching our 5th show. Like we said before, we're doing this because we just want to. It's our self-expression. It's great to have Joel on the show. We're going to keep a close eye on What the Fact 3 and 4. I think I'd like to get more involved with both of those anyway, if I can.
Oh, we're coming to Cyprus. I can't wait.
Coming to Cyprus to do the off-grid number 5, maybe. We are really enjoying this. I think from our last podcast that Ayse and I did, you can get that we're also, we're transforming. We are evolving in our own right, and I think we're starting something very special in terms of empowered living. If you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel, share this. With other people, feedback, good stuff. I don't really want to know about the bad stuff. Not interested, unless you can help us improve it. We're open to that. And if you've got any ideas on how we can live empowered lives, and you'd like to know, we've got people coming on soon that are going to talk about spirituality, healing. We're going to talk about all sorts of different kind of alternative treatments for ourselves. I've got a friend of mine who's been basically building his off-grid lifestyle for the last 18 months. I've interviewed him before, Chris Hughes, and I'm sure we'll have Joel back again at another point. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.